श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। घनानां त्वा घनपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनां मुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सेदसादनं प्रणो देवे सरस्वदेवाजेर्वाजिनेवदे तेनामवित्रयवद गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Sairam Lin, Sairam from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand. Thank you, Bhagwan, on this very, very special day in the Sai calendar, the day that Swami, you left the physical form to become a much greater, mysterious form, as you quietly predicted to a small group of loving devotees, April 24th, 2011. Today, this date is called the ARADHANA MAHOSATVAM Day. And to simplify it, it simply means the day of celebration, and it's a celebration of Swami leaving the physical form. He always predicted that this had to happen, but it took all of us by surprise because Swami had always said in past discourses and talks that he would leave at the age of 96, thereabouts. But he left at the age of 86. And some people have said, well, he was using the Telugu calendar, he was using the Hindu calendar, but nonetheless, it gave quite a few people a great shock. On that particular day, it was Easter Sunday in the Christian calendar, which is a day of great rejoicing in the Christian faith. And as I am still considered a Christian by our Sai organization, as well as, of course, a Sai devotee, I was asked to give a talk on the resurrection of Jesus on that day. And I was due to speak at 6 o'clock in the evening to a large gathering of Sai devotees here in Auckland, New Zealand. I had arrived at the hall quite early and was just running through my talk, which was mostly based on the Christian story and the beautiful scenes that happened after Christ was seen alive and well walking in the garden by Mary and also by the angels who had rolled away the stone that covered his tomb. However, at 5 o'clock, a ripple went around the hall. I saw people looking at their cell phones, gasping, rushing about, whispering to each other, because the word had come through from Prashanti Nilayam that Swami had left the body at approximately 7:30 that morning. And there was consternation in the hall. There were, I think, about 300 to 400 people there, and the word was rushing about. Could it be? No, perhaps not. Hopefully it was just a mistake. We all knew Swami had been in the hospital for some weeks, but this had been nothing new. Swami had often taken on illnesses from other devotees and had always sprung back after periods of appearing to be very unwell. However, our chairperson at the time received the official call from Prashanti Nilayam and made the official announcement to everyone who was gathered in their seats. And immediately a great deal of sobbing broke out, people reaching for their handkerchiefs, hugging, and it was a very sad scene indeed to see that many people awash in grief. At that moment, one of the elders, Uncle Muru, came over to me and whispered in my ear. He said some words I will never forget. He said, "Lynn, this is a time for spiritual maturity. Please change your talk. I know you can do it. I have full faith. And find a way to uplift everyone in the room." No small request, I can assure you. But I felt Swami's presence extremely strong. I did not feel grief. In fact, I had gone almost into a state of bliss. Indeed, I was so happy for Swami that he had finally left the confines of that small physical body that had been causing him so much physical difficulty, which I had seen close hand. And I remembered him saying that it was very, very difficult to confine himself to that small body. And that gave me just a glimpse of how truly great and expansive and limitless that being that we call our beloved Bhagwan is. Much, much bigger than that little form we had all come to know and love. So I had to throw away the notes I had carefully assembled for my talk on Jesus, and I switched it to one on the meaning of the word resurrection. And of course, a resurrection can mean many things. A resurrection can mean, in the Christian sense, rising from the dead. And indeed, there was great hope amongst many devotees that Swami would return to life after some time, some days. However, this was not to be. And I went on to explain that resurrection can also mean a rebirth, a renewal of the spirit. And I reminded myself much later when I went to Prashanti Nilayam in 2012. This was the first year I had been there without Swami's physical form to bask in his darshan. And instead there was the mausoleum or tomb that the body had been deposited in and packed with salt and vibhuti according to the traditional rites. And I have to say, yes, I did miss that form, but I was heartened because one of the senior office bearers at Radio Sai revealed to me that in the last days, Swami had called to him a group of devotees. These were not office bearers. These were just some of the old people who he had sheltered in the ashram for many years and who simply loved him. And some had even been his companions when he was much younger. And Swami called them for an interview. And he said to them, "I am going. Do not grieve for me. In future, I will take many mysterious forms. I will appear to my true devotees in a mysterious form, and I will take many. Only my true devotees will be able to recognize me as such. This will sort out the sheep from the goats. This will separate the wheat from the chaff." And as he told me this, I wrote it down very carefully, word for word, in my diary. And this office bearer was a senior, and he was very well placed to know these kind of events. And it made complete sense to me. And indeed, it reminded me of Jesus's words, because Jesus also mentioned sorting out the sheep from the goats and separating the wheat from the chaff. Those of you who have traveled in India will remember that going through some of the small villages, the villagers lay out the rice that has been harvested on the road, on sheets of material. And as the cars and bullock carts drive over the rice, it separates the wheat grain from the light chaff, the coating that is on the rice grain. It happens with wheat and rice. And this is how they clean the grain. And then the women pick up the cloth and shake it, and the chaff blows away in the wind. Swami had said that in his later years, many would leave him. And indeed, even after he took Mahasamadhi, which is the leaving of the body, many did leave him, just like the chaff, leaving the rice grain or the wheat. And as far as separating the sheep from the goats, Of course, the sheep are the ones who follow the master, who are meek, mild, and gentle. The goats are the ones who don't behave. That's according to, fable and legend. The goats are the naughty ones that run away, that jump up on the rocks, that kick their heels up and play up and butt each other with their horns. And that is the simile of separating the sheep from the goats, is separating the true devotees from the ones who are just playing at it, who are using Swami's teachings at their convenience. As he explained to us, there are two kinds of devotees: those who follow his teachings to the letter, and those who use his teachings at their convenience, when it suits them. And so this is what Swami was talking about, that leaving the body was going to be the sterling moment when he would see who was still his true devotee and who was not. This was quite an eye-opener, and if only I had had that information, that I could have shared that with the group on the day of his departure. However, it was one more year before I learned of this very profound interview that Swami gave. Indeed, he had given many hints, and the year 2010, the year before he took Mahasamadhi, was announced by Dr. Goldstein of the World Psi Organization as the year of pilgrimage. And letters came out to all of the centers saying, if you can possibly make it to Prashanti Nilayam, come this year. Whatever you do, nothing else is as important as coming to Prashanti in 2010. Of course, we now looking back, we think that it is quite possible that Swami had revealed that he would be leaving early. And this indeed was a wonderful celebration with people coming from all over the world. It was delineated as the year of pilgrimage. And it was indeed a most wonderful celebration of our divine Lord. Many wonderful folk dances were performed in his presence, songs, bhajans, singing, and beautiful prasadam. I remember it being dates, fresh dates from one of the Middle Eastern countries, as I recall. So, on this very special day, let us remember that Swami's role is much bigger than anything we could ever imagine. Yes, we miss that form. It was so enchanting. But as he said, this form is taken for the purpose for which I have come. In other words, that form was simply one that you never forgot. He stood out like a candle flame. That red robe or orange robe or white robe, it simply glowed, encasing that beautiful form, that magnificent halo of afro-like hair, and that face with the flashing eyes of gold and silver and every color in between. Yes, we miss that divine physical presence, but as he said, Prashanti Nilayam will now be in your heart, and I am the indweller. Let you be the embodiment of Prashanti Nilayam. Let you be the beacon and the guiding light that I am for you. Spread my love, spread my message. This form is not so important. It is the message that I bring that is important. Let us remember that beautiful form with love, and let us forever contact that much greater form that lives in immortality within our heart of hearts, the spiritual heart, the Atma within, this God spark within us. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Om Tasmat Karunya Bhavena Rakcha Sai Ishvara. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishvara Arpanamastu. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.